When somebody asks you, how do you worship God, what do you say? I feel like most people will say they go to church, they deny the desires of the flesh, they pray, they try to spread the gospel, right? This is how it's done. This is worship. But I think it can be so much more than that. I think that's almost like this routine, this habit that people get into, and then they like stay in it for their whole life. And I think worship is something much more. Like Christ said, there will come a time when we worship God in the Spirit. And He's looking followers like that right now. God is. And that kind of means that it could be anything. Anything that is pleasing to God, that you do with faith, that's based on scripture and truth, and you do out of love. So these are the things that you need. I think those are the fundamentals. And you can do everything. You can pretty much do anything if you check all the boxes and it's like legitimate. It's authentic, this worship of yours. I think that is what the living faith is about. I think worship and works are closely intertwined. And I want to give an example of something that I did in the beginning that I think some people might have an issue with, and I understand why. But I checked all the boxes when I did it. So I was a new believer, and that day I was getting high. I had this expensive vaporizer that was worth like 300 euros. When I bought it, I like look at the reviews on the internet and people were hyping it up. It was like one of the best vaporizers for, you know, smoking dry weed. And I smoked weed with it and I was high. And that's when the Spirit of God like protested. He revealed to me that it's not something I should be doing. He basically showed me that somebody else is using my mind when I am high. And I was terrified, I was scared. And I went to sleep hoping, praying that the whole thing is over when I wake up, and it was. And I threw my vaporizer and my weed in the dumpster, and then I went outside to eat or something. But something was bothering me there. I was like talking to God in the Spirit. You want me to quit smoking weed, I understand, but isn't it kind of a waste? I have this amazing vaporizer that everybody loves, and I just threw it away. It's kind of new. Like, is this the best I can do? And then when I was headed home, there was an opportunity that I saw that was about my faith. I saw like a 17-year-old, 18-year-old teenage boy on the sidewalk playing with his phone, with his bicycle, and I looked at him and I like related to him. Like, I wish somebody had given me this vaporizer when I was like his age. I could have had so much fun with it with my friends and stuff like that. We were bored when we were kids. And I started to believe that maybe God left this person here for me to find, to encounter, that our paths, you know, cross. And I went to him, curious, and I just asked him, do you want weed? And immediately he said, yes, but I don't have any money. And I told him, no problem, man. I just threw away like 400 euro worth of stuff in the dumpster. I can just go get it for you. And he was a bit skeptical, but he waited for me. And I took the stuff to him, and he was surprised, and he thanked me in such an authentic way. And when we were like parting ways, I wanted to let him know that this has something to do with God, that it was my faith that made me do this thing, go into the dumpster and give him the device, this high-tech vaporizer with some weed. And I told him, God bless, and I hope he heard me. I think he did. And then when I went home, I became a bit skeptical, you know. I started to have doubts, like, what did I just do? Nobody is gonna say to me that this is something that is God's will that I give to this teenager, even though they were an older teenager, you know, weed. And when I laid down on my couch, I turned on the TV, and there was a man praising Christ that he had saved him from drugs, obviously harder drugs. So he had fallen into some kind of a pit, and that's where he started to seek for salvation. And I started to wonder, you know, did I send this kid down this road? And if I did, and that was not my intention was that just he has a little bit of a more fun childhood, which is, I think, how you can use weed. I mean, it is preferable to like smokes and alcohol and stuff like that, for sure. But I started to wonder, like, did I actually just send this kid down this path where he's going to be introduced to like harder drugs like meth and heroin and all these things that like destroy you really? Alcoholism maybe, I don't know. And I think this is an example of somebody trying to worship in the spirit and then requiring God to justify his faith in God. Because I did this because of God. Otherwise I wouldn't have even been looking for anybody for any reason, because I threw away the drug device, right? I just would have left it in the dumpster, or more likely I would have just kept on smoking because the spirit wouldn't have ever stopped me from doing that. But this is what I did. This was like one of my first works. I didn't even have the cross of Saint Peter yet. And this is different from going to church and, you know, doing this with your hands and praying to God. God, please. What do you guys think? If we meet in heaven, does that person greet me as a brother because they were saved and I played my part, or will they like accuse me?